Good afternoon, Facebookers, YouTubers, LinkedIners, podcasters, listeners, watchers, viewers, sharers, followers, everything you are as. Today's subject, Mojo. Mojo. Today's musing. Subject I want to talk about is Mojo. And I got curious about the kind of term because I hear it all the time. I use it myself. I have clients that use it and stuff, and it's a real comment. Oh, I've lost my mojo and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, what does it actually mean? What does mojo mean? And it's like, there's all these different definitions of it. It's like a magical power, sexual prowess, attractiveness, inspiration. And a lot of it boils down to when we feel we've just lost the edge, that ability to function at our kind of higher self or a good version of ourselves. And that can be stress induced. It can be lack of motivation or inspiration with what you're doing, your life purpose, or your work or whatever it might be, or a project you're working on, or just being a parent and stuff like that, your career. There's all sorts of things. And yet it can be easily reestablished as well. You know, on a personal level, I find that once I re-engage with clients, the mojo flows back. I get a lot of energy and I get a lot of growth and development and personal growth from working with clients. So coaching for me is a very two-way street, always has been, always will be. And the relationships that I've got with my clients is based on that. So I give a lot and I get a lot from it as well, which is great. And sometimes I just feel, so to own it, I just feel that there are some days I get up and I just don't have the love for it. I just don't have the energy for it. I just don't have the get up and go, the oomph. But, you know, the following day or the day before, I could literally be like 100 miles an hour, the best living, breathing, loving what I do. But some days you just feel that mojo isn't there, you know? And, you know, more than anything, having the network to pull on of people that support, that ability to bounce ideas off, to ask questions, to just ask for help, to gain some feedback and not recognition as in praise and pats on the back, you know, but that feedback and recognition of real-time stuff, what's happening, what's impacting, what's landing. And this ties in funny because I'm a gamer, right? I like to game, and you get instant feedback, you're constantly getting feedback when you're gaming, which is, I think, one of the elements that us gamers love about it is you are constantly figuring out problems, and you know, you're solving things, you're battling end level bosses, whatever the term might be in terms of the different game mode. But effectively, you're problem solving, you're figuring out things, you're overcoming challenges, and it gets you kind of competitive, and it gets you that and while you're doing it, you're also getting feedback at the same time about how well you're doing, or whether you're off target or on target, or what percentage completion you're at, and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, and life doesn't necessarily give us that, other than probably the overall completion of death. But we don't get a countdown for that unless you've been terminally diagnosed, and invariably, even when you have, it's still a bit of a lick a finger and stick it in the air, weeks, months, years, right? And circumstances change and people defy that all the time. So there is no real life countdown clock. There is no real life metric or measure or scoring that's as accurate as this make believe. So I think it's very easy for our mojo to just disappear. This whole thought process came along because I was like, well, where does it go? Where does our mojo go when we lose it? Where does that energy level go? Why can it be so different on some days than it can be on others? Now, if you are consistent in your mood and consistent in your well-being and consistent in your mind and consistent in your health and everything else, then, and I salute you if you are, but I think every single one of us as human beings suffer this kind of up and down, the peaks and troughs of feeling much more on it some days than we do on others, you know? And it's like, that might be a period of a week or a month where you just don't have the energy, you just don't have the get up and go, the juice that you normally have. And it's slowly, like a gin, it creeps up, right? It doesn't always necessarily slap you around the face and go, you wake up, you open your eyelids, you know, you pull the duvet off and go, no, just not fancying today. Some days it can hit you like that. Sometimes it can. But invariably, I think it creeps. It certainly does with me. And it creeps up. And it's that catching that awareness that, oh, I don't feel as motivated or as energetic or as on point or as in flow or as on purpose as I normally do. And when I feel that happening, I got to catch myself and step back and remind myself of why. Remind myself of what helps find my mojo again, what gets me energetic again. And I've talked about this on previous podcast episodes. I talk about this in training all the time. And I go to music, I go to comedy, but I also go to my network and conversations and connection, because deep rooted in all of it for me is about that connection. That's such a powerful and important part of my life, is connection. So when I don't have it, and funnily enough, when I lose my mojo, I unconsciously disconnect. And then I feel that kind of no man's land, and then I feel that loss of, and then I feel, so it kind of compounds it. And if I don't catch it, it's harder to come back. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Anyway, so it certainly makes sense to me, because this is my interpretation of mojo for me, right? But it doesn't matter whether you're in your career. It doesn't matter whether you're running a business. It doesn't matter whether you're in a job and you're starting a side hustle. Getting support is vital. And this is the beautiful thing about what we do at Sales Academy. We support people from all walks of life, all industry sectors, employed, self-employed, business owners. It doesn't matter. We support people to help them to perform better. And so much of that is about 80% of the time about what's going on in here and in here, right? And getting back in touch with how you're truly feeling. What's your joy? Where's your joy at? What's your purpose? How on point are you? How are you compromising who you are to do something that you don't want to do, right? All of that sort of stuff to get the juice back in you. Because when you or I are on purpose, when we're on point, when we're in flow, when we are doing what we are kind of born to do, when we do things that excite us and we enjoy it, when we're in that space, the energy's there, the flow is there, the mojo's there, and it's like a dynamo. It's topping us up, right? So that, and as long as we're regularly getting that, and it could be a walk in a green space, blue skies, breathing heavily up a mountain. It could be spending time by water. It could be listening to comedy, listening to music, or like I said, reaching out and having a conversation, because you just aren't opening up. You just aren't talking about this stuff with people. And you never know who that person is that can help you unlock some of that stuff. It may be me, it may be somebody else, but you won't know unless you pick up, unless you reach out, unless you make that kind of call, right? And it takes courage to make that call. So we're never going to laugh like the guy in The Simpsons. Ha ha. It's about creating a space for you to be able to just sit down and understand and listen and ask questions and probe and help you figure out your new answers, right? Or go back to some of your answers that you already know about yourself and help you get back into mojo, back into point. If that's what you need right now, don't frigging delay. Don't put yourself last. Sick of people putting themselves last. Pisses me off. Putting everybody else first and yourself last. Putting yourself first is one of the healthiest things you can do, because you are then able to support other people far better, from a much better place, because you can't pour from an empty cup. It's a phrase we all know and love, right? So live it, breathe it. Pick up the phone, have a conversation, message me. Let's get on a Zoom call. Let's have a coffee and a catch up, and let's see where it takes us. Cool. That's it. Mojo. Let's get it back. See you later, peeps.